All right, hey, what's up everyone? Landan with LMR.com. Today we're continuing the oil change video series in that we are going to show you how to change your oil in a 1992 to 1996 OBS Bronco. The Bronco we're going to be working on today is LMR's 1996 Eddie Bauer Bronco. This is four-wheel drive and it has the 5.8 liter engine with an oil cooler. So if we take a closer look at some of the oil change kits that we offer here on the site, you're going to see some different variations. Oil change kits for trucks that do have an oil cooler, and then oil change kits for Broncos that don't have an oil cooler. You'll also see different weights, 10W30 and 10W40. Traditionally, most of us are going to run 10W30. For those of us that may live in a hotter climate or you're having some consumption issues, you may consider the 10W40 option. 10W30 is synthetic blend. The 10W40 is just your conventional motor oil. Each of the oil change kits will include 6 quarts of oil, which is for a stock pan or an aftermarket oil pan that accepts 6 quarts. So the difference in oil filters will be an FL820S for Broncos that do have an oil cooler, which is what you're gonna see us use today, and then an FL1A oil filter for Broncos that don't have an oil cooler. And of course, those part numbers are for the Motorcraft filter, which is what we currently include in the oil change kits. Now these oil change kits will work with 5 liter and 5.8 liter Broncos. Throughout the video, you'll see me use the tools, some cardboard or something like that to help us deflect the oil away from the truck. Other methods that you could use instead of the cardboard is a funnel or even aluminum foil. Some folks like to use a Ziploc bag where they encapsulate the oil filter with this bag and have to carefully turn it to where the oil will drip down to the bag. The only problem you have with that is if you move the bag the wrong direction, you're gonna have a bunch of oil coming towards your face and you don't want that. So that's why I've always preferred cardboard, aluminum foil, or a form of funnel. So with all that good stuff out of the way, we are gonna be working on a lift today just so we can show you process in better detail. But for Broncos, even at factory ride height, typically you can kind of just scoot under there. And then if you have a lifted Bronco, it's even easier. As flat as can be, baby. Y'all see that? All right, so once you crawl underneath your Bronco, you'll drain the oil from the pan first. Here's your drain bolt. The OEM bolt has a 16 millimeter wrenching size. If you get up under here and you find that the bolt has been switched out, it's always good practice to get your sockets and just make sure you have the right one. We'll position our drain pan or bucket underneath, and then we'll loosen the drain plug. This one's tight. Oh. You gotta loosen it, dude. Righty-tighty. You put a little upward pressure on it, that way whenever you clear the last thread, you just come straight down with it. This oil's pretty clean. We haven't driven this Bronco much. Yeah, there's still a golden hue looking through it across the truck into the other light. All right, oil's draining. We're gonna inspect our drain plug. Clean it up with some good quality brake clean. And this one was sealing just fine. But you notice underneath the flange here, you have a rubber gasket, and that's what seals to the pan. Just kind of inspect it. If it's too far gone, you know, you probably didn't plan on replacing the drain plug, you can put it back in. But if you've had a leak from this area or there was some moisture around this particular spot, you would know right away that it's probably time for a new drain plug. All right, so our oil has slowed to a drip. I'm gonna go ahead and start the drain plug. Always thread it in by hand first. I usually like to run it down just before it reaches the pan, and then I'll clean this area off with some brake clean. The pan's still underneath it. Oh man, I just dripped this in fucking oil. Dude, hold this. This rag is trash. Give a little spritz of brake clean, push a little bit of that oil out. Then I go ahead and make contact. Push my drain pan or bucket out of the way. I'll wipe all this down here in just a second. And then we can go back in here and clean up our drain plug area. I like this clean. Just how I operate. I don't like a bunch of oil residue on there. We can come back in and tighten it. And any last bit of oil that kind of squishes out the sides, I go back over it and get it off. Overkill, I know, but just how I operate. For any of the torque spec gurus out there, this particular drain plug is going to have a torque spec of 15 to 25 pound-feet. If you are going to torque this, make sure you know how to operate the torque wrench. Hold it on the outside. You know what? Let's just show them. Okay, for all you torque spec gurus out there, this drain plug with this thread pitch and this setup, you're gonna have a torque spec of 15 to 25 pound-feet. You can draw that down the middle, which is what I typically do, and go 20 pound-feet. And then you'll want to use a 3/8 drive torque wrench. Whenever you torque stuff like this, it is important to hold the torque wrench out here at the handle. If you're grabbing it up here by the neck, you're not going to have an accurate reading. You want to get out here at the handle and rotate slowly because we've already established some tightness with the socket wrench. So there you go. I was all right on the money at 20 pound-feet. All right, now we can remove the filter. All right, so today, before we remove the oil filter, I'm gonna prepare the new one. It's pretty simple in how you do this. Whenever you get it out of the box, just make sure it's not damaged or anything like that. I wouldn't shoot a ton of compressed air down in there. Probably wouldn't hurt anything, but hey, best practice. Just for peace of mind, I usually kind of one of these numbers, do that as you wish. Just inspect for just any signs of obvious stuff. I mean, you'd be surprised what you'll find on a brand new oil filter. But this one looks good, so we'll take it over here to the bench. We'll wipe the gasket down. Make sure it's clean. And then we'll take some fresh engine oil and pre-soak the media. You don't need a lot. And kind of what you can do is rotate it back and forth. Don't get in there and soak the pleats on the filter. And then this is always subjective. Everybody does things their own way. Lubricate the new gasket. It's crazy because some of the shop manuals I see, they tell you don't do that because if they provide a torque spec for the filter, a lubricated gasket will skew the torque spec. All right, so now that that's prepped, we can get over here and get the oil filter off the truck. Okay, we're gonna cut us a piece of cardboard, and then to make it pliable, you can kind of roll it up. And this is what makes aluminum foil or like a form of funnel a little easier because you know you can manipulate that stuff better than cardboard. Don't cut yourself. Custom. All right, so before we reposition our drain pan or bucket, we'll take our cardboard, foam or funnel, whatever the heck you got, and due to the axle housing here, we're gonna have to kind of do some, oh man, would you look at that? Well, don't cut it on a seam or a fold. There we go. So see, that's got a direct path. We could actually rotate it a little bit more, but that's got a direct path right here. This is where our drip's gonna happen. And then actually it may want to drip out right there. So your piece of cardboard, I failed majorly on this. You don't want to get it at the fold. You'll have problems. Well, how do I get that box? I got one. All right, take two. We got a better piece of cardboard. We'll test fit first. Okay. So as long as we get it up underneath the lip of the oil filter, we're good. Now that we know that this fits, I'm gonna have to bring it back out. That way I can get up in there and loosen the filter. And then because of this location, you may find yourself having to use an oil filter wrench. But no, we're good. Don't go too loose because you'll start to have some oil run out. You just want to get it enough to where you get your deflection device in here, you can turn it with one hand. So now we'll get our pan or bucket back underneath our cardboard. We'll get it in a position where it'll run off the cardboard into the bucket. So here we go. So because of the angle of the oil filter, you will have some oil run out as you're loosening it. So I would just give it a few turns Let the oil drain, then you can go back and fully remove it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at how fresh that oil is. Got a little bit on our steering linkage here, but easy wipe off with some brake clean. You'll still have a little bit of oil drip off your cardboard or deflection device and either the cooler or the engine block. I usually just work as quick as I can, get the deflection device out of the way, and then immediately get a towel up there to absorb as much as I can. We'll go ahead and get the drain pan or bucket out of the way, and then now we can clean up the oil filter mating surface, be it the oil cooler or the engine block. I quickly set another towel, microfiber towel up in there to catch any oil as it drips, but use a light, inspect either the engine block surface or the oil cooler surface, give it one good wipe, make sure it's clean, and we can install the new filter. All right, kind of snake it into place. Okay, we'll thread it on by hand. You can't get a torque wrench in here, so you'll just tighten this with your hand until you start to struggle rotating it, and that's good. Pull your towel and then wipe up any oil that you got on the steering linkage, top of the front axle. Once you do that, always a good mental thing to go make sure you torque your drain plug and then make sure you have tightened your oil filter. I know we just did it, but trust me, I know a lot of you have probably thought of this as well. You're going down the road, you're enjoying a ride, and you're like, crap, did I tighten the drain plug? If you've thought of that, make a comment, because I know a lot of you have. Okay, you can wheel that out of the way. We can go down with the old Bronco and put some Earl in her. All right, we'll go ahead and open the hood. Proper formal terminology here, Landon. Okay, so if you're kind of short, you may need a step ladder or something like that. But for me, I'm tall, I can reach over here and remove the fill cap, and as well as a dipstick for when we get oil in it, we can check to make sure we got enough. So we'll go ahead and open this up and then stab a funnel down in there. All right, funnel in place, and now we can just start filling it with oil. Man, something about an oil change is just so satisfying. It's feel-good stuff. Work in the garage, got the music turned up, your choice of drink. Judy, I like you in the support role. This makes me feel like I get cut cantaloupe. Director chair type stuff. Okay, that's 3, 4. We'll probably speed this up, count, and go to the next one. All right, number 5. Minimally processed, GMO. Non-GMO oil.
I thought it was synthetic.
This is synthetic blend.
Oh, it's got...
This is minimally processed. And then synthetic is ultra processed. All right, so we got all the oil in. Another good thing you want to check is the gasket on the fill cap. If it's dirty, just wipe it off. Same goes for the filler neck on the valve cover. If it's dirty, just wipe it off. Just use a high quality brake clean like you've been using. And I like microfiber towels over shop towels just because they don't leave any lint. And then we'll catch our funnel here whenever we pull it out of the filler neck, just because it's going to drip some oil. Go back in with the fill cap. And cool, we got it in one click. And I always like for it to be legible, reading the direction, or facing the direction that's easily read. The dipstick doesn't always do that sometimes, but you can get the fill cap. Okay, so now Judah, go ahead and start it up. And then we'll let it run for a couple seconds, just move it around a little bit, get a little bit of heat in it. Let ours run for just a little bit. You don't have to micromanage this. You'll pull the dipstick, wipe it, and you'll put it back in the tube. And we'll pull it back out. Inspect it on the crosshatch. Sometimes it's going to be tough. It can be tough to read, but we are right where it needs to be. We are just over the crosshatch, which means full. If it's under the crosshatch, it's telling us to add 1 quart. God dang, Ford, you really don't know what you're doing. It's kind of weird. We're good to go. Let's see if I can get this to face. Huh? Better. It's better. All right, everybody, that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed it. Nice little simple oil change today. Yes, we know a lot of us know how to change oil, but we know some of you value the content, like watching this type of stuff. And kind of for the newbies, you know, that may have just picked up a 92 to 96 OBS Bronco, want to know a little bit more about the truck, you want to watch some videos, this is definitely one of the ones you could check out kind of before you get into a oil change yourself. That way you know what you're getting into. So as always, hope you all find value in what we do. Consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turn on notifications. And then until we see you in the next one, for all things OBS Bronco, keep it right here with the Real Enthusiasts, LMR.com.